We learned a lot in the Boston Bruins 6-2 win over the Ottawa Senators. And what felt like a playoff game, this is exactly what the Bruins need to do for the remainder of the season. Everybody was firing on all cylinders, and we learned a lot from each individual player on this team. So we're going to be talking about the news that we have from this game, what we learned, what needs to continue, and what needs to stop, as well as a bit of news regarding a re-signing of a goalie that we will discuss later on in this video. But before we get into all of this news, we notice that 95% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. So if you're looking for a spot to get all of your Boston Bruins news and stay up to date with everything from this team, you're in the right spot. Make sure to hit the sub button. Join me along on this journey as we cover this team, hopefully straight to the Stanley Cup Finals. But like I said, we're going to discuss here what we learned from this game. We learned a lot, and this was an absolutely phenomenal game from both sides, the Senators and the Bruins. But I think the Bruins in this one, they recognized that things needed to change if they were going to make a deep playoff run, and we start to see that conversion in this game. I'll pull up the box score here just to take a look at this one here first. You can also look at it on the bottom of the screen throughout the video when I'm not on screenshots, but a great game. I'm just going to give a few shout-outs here before we get into this. Justin Brazeau, David Pastrnak, obviously, Kevin Shattenkirk, a weird one who, immediately after the game after I called him out for, maybe being replaced, comes out and gets 3 assists. And Linus Ullmark, as always. But let's just take a little deep dive into this game here. And I want to say that we learned a lot, like I said. I'm going to say this a lot in this video, so I do apologize for that. But like I said, this was a playoff game mentality from the Boston Bruins. They wanted to show us, they wanted to show the fans, the management, the staff that, like Jim Montgomery said, the beginning of March was their conversion to a playoff mindset, and we've seen that in this game. I'm going to pull up the game stats here, and you can see, Ottawa, I would not say outplayed them, but definitely had a lot more opportunities. Linus Ullmark was on top of his game, making saves through screens, tips, everything, whatnot. But another good thing that the Bruins had in this game, or two things I should say, were the face-off percentage there at 62% and the power play percentage at 100, and they went 2 for 2 on that. Two things the Bruins will definitely need to continue if they want to make this team a solid playoff team compared to what we are looking at from the roster. We know that this team is not what they were last year, and it wasn't what they were the year before. The huge losses, especially the ones that they acquired last year on rentals, and, franchise legends and David Krejci and Patrice Bergeron. So they're working through a lot of adversity this season. Being top of the NHL, being able to do that with this team, that to me shows that they won. And I'm going to pull up the stats here once again, the box score. You can see the face-off percentage. Each of these guys were absolutely phenomenal in the face-off dot. Johnny Beecher, once again, the guy who recently got recalled, absolutely fantastic on the face-off circle, 11 for 4. Charlie Coyle, 13 for 3 as well, a very, very good offensive performance. Him on the dot, not so much on the, the score sheet, but, if he's winning the face-offs like that, you can't really complain. As well as Morgan Geekie, 6 for 2, and Pavel Zacha, 6 for 5, still positive, but, we'd like to see that percentage get a bit higher. So this team's definitely doing what they need to on the draws. They're definitely in the offensive zone, the defensive zone. They're trying to take control of this game, not get out of hand in certain scenarios on certain shifts and whatnot, and that all stems from the faceoff. The faceoff is the biggest part of, the Bruins' system right now. Winning these from these guys, they don't have that star number one center that a lot of these other teams do. They need every guy working together, and we've seen that in this game. Something I would love to continue for the remainder of this season heading into the playoffs, and this will absolutely solve a lot of the problems that we've seen from the Bruins here. But, I'll pull up the stat card as well. I always liked putting up this screenshot. It really shows the in-depth of how players are playing on the offense and the defense, on ice defense, on ice offense, everything like that. And you can see Kevin Shattenkirk up there, just pretty much right after, like I said, right the game after, I was saying, did we see the end of Kevin Shattenkirk in the NHL? Surely we did not. He had an absolutely fantastic game netting those 3 assists. And this seems like, one of the better games of this season for him. And, it seems like prime Kevin Shattenkirk again, which is, I would say a surprise. I don't want to say it's a surprise, but it's a very nice surprise to see him still being able to control this game and, move the puck like he was. I'll pull it up again here. Justin Brazeau, once again, the big body coming from the ECHL. Definitely a solid game from him, netting 2 goals. You like to see that, a guy that, is getting the opportunity to see if he can, make this team, see if he can, work his way into a full-time NHL role, and he's been playing absolutely phenomenal. so far for this team. And I'm very excited to see what he can use his size for, how he can use his size as soon, like, as he starts to get used to this NHL lineup, as he starts to get used to the NHL competition. There's going to be a lot of changes from that the minor leagues compared to the NHL. So once he gets adjusted, I think we're going to see even more from him, which I'm super excited to see. Once again, he was an absolutely insane goal scorer. For those who don't know, in junior, I do recommend checking that out. I don't have the stats here, but he was an absolute unit in junior. But I'd like to see, like I said, I like to see that he's doing well and starting to get back into this rhythm and starting to get another opportunity. And it's just so good to see that this Bruins team, everybody was working here in this game. Now, obviously, there were a few players who were down in the minus, Hampus Lindholm, Brandon Carlo, Johnny Beecher on the defense, but once again, this was a whole team effort, this game. That's why you've seen this was a 6-2 win. You can't pin anything on any individual. Well, I guess you could put it on the offense for David Pastrnak with that hat trick, with the bear hat after the game, but, David Pastrnak's a specimen. That's the best I can say that he is. He's an absolutely, a top 5, top 3 player in the NHL, you could even argue. And I expect this and him to take another step up heading into the playoffs. But, once again, I'm just going to say this one more time before we move on to our next topic here. This was an absolutely phenomenal game from this whole team. You can see just up and down the lineup, everything that we wanted to see from the stat chart, from the box score. There was a whole lot of stuff that I'm very excited to see if this does continue into the playoffs, if they take some momentum from this game into the playoffs. And, things will be looking very, very good in this time. If this does continue, like I said, very excited to see what happens here. But as we move on to our second topic here, the Bruins have re-signed a goalie, or extended a goalie, I should say. A very surprising one. It's not Jeremy Swayman, however. I know to the unfortunate for all of us, wish it was Jeremy Swayman, but Michael DiPietro has been re-signed, extended to a 1-year, 2-way contract. Now, I'm seeing a lot of people that replied to this tweet on X saying that, it's really a questionable move. You have Bussy, Ullmark, Swayman. But I do think it's a really good one. It's a sneaky signing, I guess you could say, although he may not have any time in the NHL upcoming. He's still that 4th goalie in this system. However, he's working very, very well this season in the AHL. You can see his stats here, 252 goals against, 917 save percentage. Even last year, in the one game he had in the AHL, he showed in that game he had that potential. So that's a good sign. Michael DiPietro had a very rough beginning of his career. Very unfortunate that he just couldn't really find a spot. Was on the World Junior team for Team Canada. Kind of floated around a few teams, but he starts to he seems to finally get into this groove now. He seems to finally feel comfortable with a team. You can see from the progression from his years down in the AHL, ECHL. Horrible NHL numbers, but we're not going to take a look at that. I'm excited to see what he can do as a Bruin, because we know that I think this contract will be a little move over to see if he can continue this in the next season, just because we don't know what's going to happen with Ullmark. Whether he be traded in the offseason, he goes as a free agent or whatnot. I think there's going to be a movement there at some point, leaving Bussy and Swayman in the NHL, and then having, Michael DiPietro as the starting goalie in the AHL. There's a lot of in the system, a lot of, projected movements and everything, but I think that Michael DiPietro being an AHL starter, 3rd goalie in the system, and potential, NHL backup, if he can continue into the system, the Bruins are going to be in a very good spot goaltending-wise, which, as we know in the NHL, you cannot have enough of. We've seen with Vegas in our first year. I can remember this very vividly, going through 5 or 6 goalies in the regular season. So, it kind of just shows that you can't have enough depth in this position either compared to forwards and defense. So, we'll see if this leads to anything. There's a lot of questions surrounding the signing, this extension, but I do think it's a very good one. One to keep an eye on as the years come through. I don't expect anything coming from this soon, but if Michael DiPietro can keep up with these stats, we have a pretty good goaltending system here in Boston, as we already do. So, like I said, a very good game from the Bruins here against the Ottawa Senators yesterday, and I do expect this to continue in the next game. If we can see this go the same way as it did yesterday, everybody on this team firing on all cylinders, the Bruins are going to be looking very, very scary come playoff time. So if you want to keep up to date with all this Bruins news, just like this, a game analysis, and all the news like Michael DiPietro signing, you make sure to hit the sub button. You know, we post just about daily content here at the Bruins Digest channel. So like I said, if you want to hit the sub button, make sure to do so. You won't miss out on any of the breaking news. But that's all I got here. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to give it a like. But thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.